Joining us now is Massachusetts Representative Seth Moulton. He's a member of the House Armed Services Committee, Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and the Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the U.S. and China, and a good friend to us. So, first, Congressman, your reaction to this move by Putin. If Ukraine also recognizes this temporary truce, which they expressed skepticism to doing, it would be the first full pause in fighting since the start of this war 3 years ago. Could it be the start to a more permanent ceasefire?
It could be, but more than likely it's not. There's a history of armies taking holiday pauses, and we know that Putin's got some serious morale problems with his own troops. So my guess is that this is just a gift of Putin to his own troops, not because he actually is worried about Ukraine.
You know, given your tours of duty, I just have to ask, what is that like? A ceasefire with an enemy potentially in sight, someone whom you're going to pick up arms against again in hours or days. I mean, what does that do to a soldier's psyche?
I mean, Alex, it's an interesting question. I actually lived through this in 2004 when we were in a brutal fight in Najaf, southern Iraq, against the Muqtada al-Sadr militia, the Mehdi army. And there were negotiations going on in Baghdad just as we were about to commence our final assault. And then everything went silent. It was just the most surreal experience at this battlefield where machine guns, tank rounds were going off 24/7. You couldn't think for more than 30 seconds without hearing gunfire. And then all of a sudden it was this eerie silence. But I'll tell you what, there were mixed feelings because on the one hand, we of course had a better chance of surviving, and we were thrilled with that. On the other hand, we thought that folks in Baghdad, the politicians, were giving our enemy a break. They were giving them a chance to escape and fight another day where we were about to put this to an end.
Well, I'm glad you shared that. I've always just wondered what that's like. Let's listen to Secretary of State Marco Rubio's comments on the peace talks. Here he is on Friday.
We're not going to continue to fly all over the world and do meeting after meeting after meeting if no progress is being made. So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on.
So, look, never mind. President Trump said on the campaign trail numerous times that he was going to end this war within 24 hours. What do you make of the U.S. potentially moving on? What does that mean?
Well, first of all, it's such a stupid comment from the Secretary of State because that's his job. His job is to fly all over the world and talk with our enemies and our adversaries about bringing peace and in strengthening America's position in the world. And what the Trump administration has been doing from day one with Ukraine is not ending the war, but actually prolonging it by encouraging Putin, by using Kremlin talking points, by backing up Russia in their murderous campaign instead of standing by our ally Ukraine. One of the interesting questions I had for the Trump officials who came to speak with us on the Armed Services Committee recently is, what is your plan to win? Because for years under the Biden administration, Democrats and Republicans together would criticize the Biden administration for doing just enough not to lose, but not actually having a plan to win. And it's very obvious that the Trump administration has no plan for Ukraine to win this war. They're perfectly happy with seeing Russia win the war. So Rubio's not doing his job. We are not standing by our allies. And ultimately, this all makes America weaker, not stronger. We need to show our allies that we're going to stick by their side and stand up for them and not just give in to the Kremlin here.
Let me throw out this. Granted, this is not something straight out of a diplomacy 101 playbook, but could this be some kind of a Trump negotiating tactic? Because I'm curious who does step in to broker peace, if not the U.S.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Trump seemed to have a plan to end this on day one. Then he took on the tactic of attacking our own ally, embarrassing Zelensky in the Oval Office, in a spectacle that we've never seen before in our lives, a real display of outright cowardice by the president and the vice president in the face of a hero in Zelensky from Ukraine. And then then Trump turns around and says, I can't trust Putin. Well, wake up, buddy. We all can't trust Putin. If you haven't figured that out by now, I don't know what your plan is at all. So I think we're giving Trump a lot of credit to say that he's got some, super secret plan here. I think they're boxing in the dark. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know who their actual enemies are. And ultimately, this is, again, it's just dangerous for the United States. Our adversaries around the globe are looking at us and saying, these guys can't be trusted. They're totally out of control. And we're going to take advantage of this. And that's what I'm most worried about, is not just what's happening in Ukraine, but Xi Jinping in China is saying, wow, this looks like a good opportunity to take advantage of America.
Wow. That's sobering. Let me ask you one quick question about the Associated Press, which reports Iran reached out to Russia and President Putin ahead of today's talks. Russia was involved in brokering that 2015 nuclear deal that was endorsed by the U.S. Does Russia's involvement this time concern you?
Yes, it does. And it concerns me that the Trump administration doesn't fundamentally understand whose side Russia is on. Let's be clear. Russia and Iran are partners here. It's not clear at all that Russia does not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. So we've got to be clear about who our adversaries are and who our allies are in the world. Look, the 2015 nuclear deal under President Obama was not perfect, but it kept Iran about a year away from having a nuclear weapon. Now they're a week away, all because Trump pulled out of that deal. And we don't even have good visibility on what's going on in Iran because he ended that deal. We could have been strengthening that deal, brokering new deals for tighter restrictions today. Instead, Trump is just trying to make up for this completely unforced error of throwing that deal, while imperfect, just throwing it out the window. So Trump's trying to make up lost ground here, but I'm not terribly optimistic.
Okay. Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton, good to see you, my friend. Have a great holiday tomorrow.
Alex,
Thank
good
you.
to see you too.
Thank you.